I didn't say a single word when they handed me that eviction notice. I just slid the 1923 water rights deed across the table and watched as 35 big, fancy houses suddenly became real lakefront property. The Willowbrook Estates HOA thought they could take my grandfather's farm while I was serving overseas in Afghanistan. These arrogant officials built their ideal suburban neighborhood on land they stole, full of women in tennis clothes, driving around in golf carts acting like guards. What they didn't realize is that I'm an Army Corps of Engineers soldier, and that small earth dam on my land had been sitting there for 45 years, waiting for someone foolish enough to build right below it. Their boldness was amazing to see, until the spillway gates opened and their expensive neighborhood got its first real experience with natural flooding. This whole thing was going to be very satisfying. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below, because you're about to see the greatest HOA defeat ever, using federal water laws and simple gravity. Let me tell you about myself. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm 34 years old, work with the Army Corps of Engineers, and I'm the third-generation owner of 47 acres of good Texas land just outside Austin. My grandfather, who everyone called Pops, bought this place in 1955 when Austin was still a quiet college town and barbecue places were way more common than tech businesses. Pops was the type of man who believed in caring for the land and helping the people around it. In 1978, he built a simple earth dam on the property. It wasn't anything fancy, just solid engineering to collect rainwater for the cows and to assist neighbors downstream when it was dry. The Army Corps of Engineers even helped him plan it. Pops always said that one day the back 40 acres would be worth a lot, but for now it was just nice rolling hills where we raised cattle and where I learned to hunt as a kid. Then I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, where I worked on water systems and building projects. It turns out that handling water in a war area teaches you how valuable fresh water is and how fast people will argue over it. While I was on my second tour, Pops died. The land went into a trust looked after by my good-hearted but busy sister Sarah, who lives in California and knows about as much about Texas land rules as I know about surfing. She hired a local company called Lone Star Land Services to pay the taxes and keep things up. The taxes were paid on time automatically, but here's the problem. Sarah never really checked the tax notices closely. That was a huge error. Now meet the bad guy in this story, Margaret, or Maggie Thornwell, 52 years old, president of the Willowbrook Estates HOA. She's the kind of woman who drives a white BMW X7 and wears tennis outfits like their office clothes. Maggie has that special fake nice attitude that some Southern women get really good at by age 45. You know, the type where they smile while hurting you and make it seem like they're helping. Maggie is married to City Councilman Rick Thornwell, which explains a lot about how she gets her way. She has a name for neighborhood improvement projects, which really means pushing out anyone who doesn't match her perfect suburb dream. The scent of her costly perfume can't completely hide the smell of cigarette smoke and superiority that follows her everywhere. I came back from my tour in August 2023, excited to finally spend good time on Pops's land. I drove down the old gravel road past the big oak tree where I carved my name as a child, expecting to see the usual open fields and the small dam shining in the Texas sun. Instead, I saw building crews, cement trucks, and markers all over my back 40 like an invasion. The sound of gravel under my shoes felt heavier, more angry. I could taste the dust and feel my own growing rage as I walked up to the site boss. "Sorry, pal," he said, not sounding sorry. "We have all the permits. This is Willowbrook Estates land now." I called the cops. Officer Martinez came and told me, looking uncomfortable, that the HOA had made an adverse possession claim while I was away. It seems if no one is using land for a long time and you can show you've been making it better, you can sometimes take it. It's an old rule meant to stop land from staying unused, but now developers and HOAs love using it to grow. That's when Maggie showed up, driving her golf cart like a boss. Her voice had that honeyed tone that made me want to protect my pockets. "Your family left this land alone, dear," she said with a big smile, like she was kindly helping. "We're just making it useful for everyone." But what really made me mad was finding out her workers had changed the path of the little creek that fills Pop's dam. The water level was going down daily, and with it went 45 years of smart water care that had helped neighbors through dry times and wet ones. As I stood watching the water drop, Maggie's last words rang in my head. "You should have stayed home more, soldier." That's when I knew this wasn't only about land, it was a fight. I hired the first lawyer I found. Bad choice. He wanted $85,000 just to fight the zoning switch. Turns out, while I was protecting the country, Maggie's husband, Rick, had rushed an emergency zoning change. Our farmland became residential building zone, quick as you can say unfair advantage. But this is where my Army training helped. While the costly lawyer moved slow and charged a lot, I was searching county files, like looking for hidden dangers. And like overseas, the key was in the small things. I found Pop's original 1978 dam papers, and they were perfect. Pops didn't build it alone. He worked with the Army Corps for flood help and water area management. That gave federal control. Here's a useful fact. Any dam made with federal help has federal rules that local HOAs can't ignore, full stop. I felt a rush of excitement as I saw what this meant. This wasn't just a land argument anymore, it was federal. But it gets even better. While copying papers at the courthouse, I found a 1923 water rights paper hidden in old files. My great-grandfather had bought the main water rights to all of Willow Creek. These rights were older than the city, older than the county water system, older than all those big houses on my land. They weren't just taking my land, they were taking my water. Meanwhile, Maggie was acting like the hurt one. She set up a quick HOA meeting about the dangerous dam, and even had a news team there that she must have called. I saw her on TV that night, standing on her neat lawn, talking about kids' safety. "We're worried about our children's safety," she said, touching her eyes with a tissue like crying. "That dam seems like it could break, and families live right below it." Local news likes drama, but not always deep checks. If they looked, they'd see my dam passed its latest safety test fine. But Maggie kept going. She put a post on the Nextdoor app, that online place where HOA leaders show their small power. Her post talked about angry land fights and unstable people nearby. She didn't say my name, but in a small area, everyone knew. The smell of truck exhaust and tree pollen was thick in the August air as I stood on my porch evenings, seeing their crews work extra hours. They hurried to finish houses before I could stop them legally. Each night I saw new foundations poured. Each night the dam water dropped more. That's when I phoned my old Army friend Tony Riggs, who now works in EPA enforcement. A short talk with Tony taught me more about environmental rules than hours with the lawyer. "Jake," said Tony, "if they're changing a natural stream without federal okay, that's against the Clean Water Act. And with your dam federal—" He didn't finish. I got it. I began recording everything. Hidden cameras around the land edges, dated photos of water changes, flow checks at 3 spots on the creek. My sister Sarah called from California, asking me to take the money and leave. But this wasn't about cash now. It was the sound of building boots on my gravel that shouldn't be there. It was Maggie's shoes clicking in court halls for meetings that shouldn't happen. It was the bad taste of cheap coffee in the courthouse while finding how bad the unfairness went. But mostly, it was about the dam. Pops built it to help during dry seasons. For 45 years, it gave life to downstream neighbors. Maggie's people were making it a pretty pond for rich homes. Here's something about Texas water rights. They're older than oil or mineral rights and much harder to take.
but you need to know how to protect them. Watching another cement truck go by my window, I knew this wouldn't win in court with big lawyers. It would win with engineering.
Maggie turned up the pressure. She started what she called a neighborhood watch patrol. 3 HOA members in same shirts who sat at my driveway like a border check. They took pictures of visitors, noted car tags, and told the sheriff about strange activity. The bothering was clear scare tactics. Noise complaints when I played my radio for farm jobs, ugly building fines for my good old farmhouse from 1962, danger reports about my septic that passed check months ago. The worst was when Rick used his council spot to call a wellness visit on me through veteran help. They thought I was a struggling soldier with return problems. The worker who came was sorry but did her job, checking lists while Maggie watched from her cart like overseeing. Then the big attack came. Building checker, fire officer, health team, and animal control all arrived same day like a rule team. Each found small issues needing costly fixes. The building guy, a friend of Rick's, said my porch needed $8,000 base work. I saw the pressure move right away, same as in war areas, to make people give in with too many rules. But I could play too. While they buried me in papers, I made calls. Tony at EPA liked hearing Maggie's HOA never did needed wetlands check before moving the creek. Any work changing natural water needs federal environment okay, even private land, and fines begin at $50,000 a day. The smell of new concrete in hot summer reminded me time was short, but my searches paid off big. I learned their whole neighborhood was built in a 100-year flood area per Army Corps. Insurance said no at first until HOA gave flood plan. Their fix? Move Willow Creek away from new houses forever and let my land flood instead. Another fact, lying about flood danger for insurance can be criminal, not just money penalty, federal mail crime. Digging more, I saw this wasn't Maggie's first time. Her old HOA in Houston paid $2.3 million EPA fine for same creek move trick. She left just before charges and started here in Austin for new targets. Maggie spread talk about my mind health and danger. She hired a detective for my service records and started a request to take my land as unsafe. "We have kids playing here," she told the paper. "We can't have troubled people risking safety." But while she acted hurt, I made friends. I talked to other HOA victims online and saw a pattern. Maggie's group took 6 small lands in 3 years same way. Pressure, bother, rule fights, and odd zoning that helped Rick's building firm. I worked with old neighbor Mrs. Chan, whose family garden died without creek water. I met Miguel Santos, whose farm lost zoning by Rick 2 years back. These were part of a planned land takeover years building. The shake from big machines in my house floor reminded me daily what I fought for. Mornings I saw cement trucks pass my window. Evenings I recorded water steal killing the dam slowly. But I prepared too. Put flow meters at dam exit and creek change spots. Figured stolen water at 1,200 gallons daily, worth $47,000 a year in farm rights. Feeling sand in my hands from creek tests told the truth better than words. This was theft and nature harm big time. Then came the official letter. City planned to take my land by force for safety. Hearing in 2 weeks. Maggie's paper words showed her plan. Sometimes protect the neighborhood from itself. But that night at my window seeing storm clouds,
Maggie went all out. Rick rushed the forced take hearing 2 weeks away, and HOA offered $180,000 for land worth $890,000. Clear message: take low deal or lose all. Local paper did bad story, making me sound dangerous. Troubled soldier stops neighborhood growth. Headline with photo making my house look bad and me tired. Maggie's best move was staged photo.
20 worried moms with kids near my line, pro photographer getting scared faces while my house looked threatening behind. Facebook post blew up with hashtag Protect Our Kids. Our kids need safe places, she told news, not war problems he brought home. She was right on one thing. I did bring skills back, seeing propaganda push and engineering to fight it. Tony called with game changer. EPA started federal look into creek changes from my report. And big, Maggie's Houston HOA had that huge fine same way. Federal nature crimes follow people anywhere. While she played victim online, I saw her money setup was fake. HOA loans on high land values needing sure water. If rights went back to me, true owner, whole place would sink money-wise. The funny twist hit me. They stole my water to raise value. Now greed would flood them. Maggie's worry showed. Offered $400,000 cash quick, 48 hours. I said no. She flew to California to tell Sarah sad tale about my health. That failed bad. Sarah knows little land law, but knows me. She called laughing. Jake, some lady in tennis wear offered help for my poor veteran brother. I said call FBI if she contacts again. While she made foes, I made team. I joined environment lawyer Amanda Cross, who does free water rights work. We built group with downstream farmers hurt by creek change. Miguel brought old papers showing family creek use since 1887. Mrs. Chen gave photos of grandfather garden 1940s fed by same creek now for Maggie's fake water spots. Local bird group cared a lot that change killed protected bird homes, harming protected animals with water theft.
In night checks, old Army habit, I found great thing. Pop's Dam had emergency spillway with gates not used since 1982. Water sound in hidden channels my tests told me, still works, made for this, controlled flood to fix natural flow. I figured volume to return creek old way, 2.8 million gallons. Dam held 3.1 million from recent rain. Numbers perfect, but timing key. With drone, I mapped new house bases to old creek path. 5 houses right in old floodway, 3 with lower basements than high water season. Best part, builders put fake creek beds with concrete and rocks, pretty but not for real water flow. The night came after heavy storms filled the dam more. I waited till dark, no witnesses. With tools ready, I opened the spillway gates slow. Water started moving old path, gentle at first, then stronger. Morning came and Willow Creek flowed natural again. The 5 houses in channel got feet of water in yards and basements. The fake creek beds overflowed fast, turning streets to rivers. Alarms went off, people panicked, golf carts useless in mud. News crews came quick. Maggie screamed on TV about terror act, but federal agents arrived too. EPA, Army Corps, even FBI for fraud. My papers proved everything. Water rights mine, dam federal, changes illegal. Insurance saw floodplain truth, claims denied. Banks called loans, HOA bankrupt fast. Homes lost value overnight, now true lakefront, but flooded. Maggie and Rick faced charges, environmental crimes, fraud, corruption. Coalition won injunction, land back to me. I restored the dam proper, creek flows free, neighbors happy again. Pops would smile. That's how gravity and old laws beat greed. Thanks for watching HOA Prime Stories. Like, subscribe, comment. When the dust settled, the gate was gone. The HOA was gone, and the people who thought they could control everyone with fines and fear were standing in court explaining where millions of dollars disappeared. I never yelled, I never threatened, I didn't break a single law. I just used the truth, the paperwork, and the land my family earned. The bridge reopened, stronger than before. My wife's garden is growing again. The mountains are quiet, and Pine Ridge finally belongs to the people who respect it, not the ones who try to own it. If your HOA ever made you feel powerless, remember this: rules don't give bullies power. Land, law, and patience do. This story came from HOA Prime Stories, and if you've lived through an HOA nightmare, share your story below.